Alright, to the surface. Speaking of learning, fun learning class, one of my computer science classes seems pretty fun so far. Like, the topic doesn't seem fun, but my professor, he is like, feels like he is a prankster, like, meme god. Like, he can turn any, supposedly this is supposed to be a really boring class, but for the entire time on syllabus day, I don't know how my professor did it, but I was so engaged with how like he was talking and like funny he was. I actually stayed awake and paid attention the entire lecture. And this is just syllabus day where when professors are supposed to just like go over like oh, here's what we're doing. Here's how you submit your homework and do all this stuff with our school system, blah blah blah, but this guy was so engaging. I actually stayed awake that entire time because he was cracking out jokes left and right while getting to the relevant material on day one. Like, he was like cracking jokes about himself, he was cracking jokes about our college, he was cracking jokes about how he's the laziest piece of crap compared to all of us. Because the funny thing was about my professor, he took a 2 year leave for to do some stuff. I'm not sure, maybe it was some kind of job. But then he finally came back to my college this semester, and he still doesn't have the syllabus ready. he he had because he knew that he was going to go back and teach after those 2 years, and he knew he was going to teach this class. He had 2 years, and 1 week before the class started, he was like, "Oh yeah, I should have prepared a syllabus for my class." Ah, I'll just send it to you guys over the weekend. and then, and then he, and lo and behold, just today I got the email. This professor's so far on first impression, he is pretty great. Yeah, he had one job. He had one job over these 2 years to get the syllabus ready, and he still hadn't got it ready until today. This is great. And like I'm just looking at my friend and was like, I'm sitting right next to my friend and was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a good class. One of the few times where I actually go and look and like go out of the class with my head held high. It's like, oh yeah, I am totally looking forward to this next class. Cause let me tell you, my other classes, oh it, uh, I don't know what to say. Like my professor's super strict, tough grading. If you're late submission by wait, but I've written a paper on Spinal Tap. Like, basically, I forgot, but like super strict, uptight in how they conduct their class. If you miss a deadline by even 1 minute, instead of getting like that normal like 10% penalty or by 1 day and 20% the other day, uh, you miss by 1 second, you get 100% off of your assignment. Me and my friends are like, holy crap, why did we have to get this professor? Because we can't get any other professors for this class we need. And this other computer science class I have, apparently we're trying to take on this real world project, semester long project day one, and this professor isn't really good with English or teaching for that matter. Hell, even the professor said to us in his English is like, I'm not good at teaching, and he was actually right about that. Because apparently we're supposed to do this extensive setup to like download his project that we're supposed to work on, and me and the entire class had like a post-class discussion outside the room. We're all like, what the hell are we doing? and we're all just panicking. We all exchange phone numbers because we're all gonna have to work as a class because there's no published online there's no online forum for us to conveniently meet up on, so we have to like exchange phone numbers and probably Facebooks. But yeah, apparently this project is super large, and we're all gonna brave the storm that's coming up in the coming weeks. So yeah, this is gonna be one hell of a semester. But aside from that, my GE classes are actually pretty chill. Like this professor lady is actually like new to new to my college, I mean, and apparently she's treating this like a grade school where she gives out candy for people participating. Not that I mind free candy, but excuse me. Not that I mind the free candy, you know, but I felt it kind of silly that even in college, a young professor thinks it'd be a pretty cool idea to give candy for participation. I mean, hell, the selection of candy isn't bad, but I thought it was pretty weird. I was like, huh, am I back in 6th grade? But yeah, this professor is actually pretty cool. Engaging, nice, like approachable. Most importantly, approachable, and actually really cares about her subject. And while teaching the class, I'm pretty sure most professors care about the subject, but teaching on the other hand is something different. But yeah, like one of the few GE classes I'm actually looking forward to. It's about astronomy. Not that it's my particular area of interest, but I thought I'd learn about it for fun. Out of my selections, anyway. And also, my professor was actually nice enough to look at our required textbooks and to find out that, yeah, apparently this one I looked up wasn't really that good, so here's the free version of another textbook online for you guys to read. So, yeah, she saved the whole class like 70+ bucks. So, I am so happy that this professor is not only giving out free food, which I'm pretty sure people love. She also gave out a free link to our new astronomy book. She's super young and nice and approachable compared to like the older professors who don't seem real talkative. But yeah, this professor is actually pretty cool. Yeah, I just wish more of my computer science professors were more like that other one I told you guys about, who was somewhat memey with a really chill side to his grading. To get undecided people to a major. Well, the thing about this GE class is that it's one of these upper division general ed classes that we have to take at once we get to a certain point. But yeah, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, my super chill professor. Okay, so you know how I told you guys about how chill he is, right? About the way that he took 2 years to provide us the syllabus and only had up until today to submit it. So the way that he has a different grading philosophy compared to other professors, or at least the ones I've had so far. So basically, instead of like going by normal grading, like, oh, like X assignment is worth X amount of points, or you have this project which is worth 40% of your grade, or whatever. He actually said in front of the class is that there's no homework. Well, like there's no graded homework, so you can just do the homework if you just want to enhance your learning. The exams all have their own graded weight, but he says that he doesn't really care about the grade you get necessarily, as long as you do it and understand what you learned. So basically, he said to the class, and I quote, that in order for me to pass you, I need you to give me the smallest reason possible to pass you in my class. So basically, he said, if you get a C- in a midterm, and for some reason, like whether it's an emergency or something else altogether, get zeros on the other midterm and final, because we got a C- on that other first midterm, that would be our actual grade, and he'll ignore everything else. And my whole class was just like, had their jaw dropped, as like, a professor willing to teach and not have us pressured by grades? Holy crap. I really wish more professors were like that, but I guess someone get in trouble by the department with how they analyze grading and all that stuff like that, but Well, yeah, basically just well, like not really participate in class because this is kind of like a big class. Like he also had this whole talk on how hard it is to participate in like big class with like 40 plus people. Like how like trying to participate in like a lecture hall of 200 people. Like he says, like participation isn't necessarily mandatory. Like he says, what's most important is that you just come to class or just read the lecture materials. You learn what you're supposed that he wants us to learn, and also like just engage in more discussion to further our learning, as opposed to just jot down notes just forcefully and just like compound all this information into your brain, but just actually have nice conversations. On this class isn't a 100% plus class in particular. It was just giving an example. Like this class has about like 40 some people, which is still pretty hefty, but it's more manageable for one professor to work with. But yeah, he was basically emphasizing a philosophy of like, well, not caring about grades and just caring more about knowledge, because he had this whole talk about like, say like when you say like when you're taking a midterm or an exam, like say like you do say like you spend time studying for it, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go into this with a fairly decent mindset. You take a test, you get it back. Say like you're one of those students, like, okay, I got a pretty good grade. It's like you got like a B plus, you missed some here and there. It's like, oh, that's fine. And then uh but then you don't consider um but then you, for the most part, you don't consider like what you did miss, or at least for some students out there, like they don't take the time to analyze their small mistakes. And then you have the person that fails or nearly fails the exam. It's like, oh my god, it's like I need X amount of points in order to pass the class, when the real question you should be asking is like, what else can I learn to make up for like my mistakes, instead of like asking the question to learn more. Like students usually tend to ask the question of like, what points do I need to pass the class, and people are so pressured that they don't learn and instead worry about points. Although technically you do get points by learning, but then you have this like pressured mindset where you're just stressing yourself out more, instead of just like learning at like a slower, more engaging pace than like just pinching points like everywhere you can. Like, oh, can I get extra credit? Oh, can I do this? Oh, like oh, something happened. Is there a way I can like get some extra thing out of this or whatever? It's like that was like the whole like tangent my professor went on, and came to realize that like I really hate when professors like are really grubby with their point system. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's with like a lot of schools in general, not limited to the U.S. I kind of wish more professors or teachers in general would take that mindset that my professor has. Like, just worry about learning, not worry about points or grades. Although, like, supposedly employers or maybe like school faculty or whoever, or the higher ups that hire these professors should probably worry about that. But you know, it's well, like there's just part of me being kind of lazy, but I really do just want to just learn without having this like sword hanging on a string above my neck about like just worrying any moment when my grade just gonna just flop because of one bad exam. Because let me tell you, I was almost scared shitless by one of my exams last semester. Me and my friend, we were taking this class together. We were barely scraping by, somewhat understanding the material, because this was like a class about assembly. For those who know about it, like we didn't know that much about it. It was like kind of like a requirement. Like we're mostly used to coding in Java because our college mainly teaches Java. So when we went to assembly, we're all like, what the hell are we reading? And then we also looked at machine code, and it's like, okay, this is too many zeros and ones. And then so we kind of just like barely scraped by, but then with a decent grade. But then here comes the final. And basically my friend and I were at borderline passing, like C minus, because we need a C minus into so we can get into our next class, which was a prereq of the one we were taking. And I want you guys to take a guess on a scale from 0 to 30. Guess, and this is 30% of our grade, by the way. So like this is all graded on like a 100-point scale. So we had like a C minus in the class, or like maybe just a C. Guess how much we got on our final. I want you guys to take a cold, hard guess on what we got. Oh boy. I'm getting some terrible flashbacks already. Oh. Maybe I'll get that. Oh wait, magic find luck. Like 10%? Oh! Actually, Crow, you were almost close. We got 5 out of 30. Or at least I did. I got 5 points out of 30. I was going delirious because I was like, holy shit. I knew I failed the exam, but I didn't know I failed this hard. And then I saw my grade drop from like a C to like a 40 or 30% or something. And my friend and I were like, holy crap, dude, we're gonna have to retake this class again. Hold me, man. I don't want to go through this class again. And you're thinking about, oh, maybe there's a curve, right? What scared us was that at the very beginning of the semester, our professor, he was like, oh, no, I don't give curve. Like, you see, like, this whole class is graded on 100-point scale. Like, the final 30% of your grade, and that 30% is 30% final. And supposedly that was supposed to be our final grade in RIP. But then the professor was actually concerned and sent like a survey or like anonymous feedback email to the entire class. Like, what'd you think of the final? Like was it too hard, too easy? Like what about it didn't you like, or was it fair? And then I wrote like an essay, like a short essay, on like how I thought it was unfair, like legitimately thought it was unfair. Because I actually spent like a couple weeks studying for this exam, and I was like, okay, like I studied all this, I know the concepts, I know all this stuff, and then I failed because of like either small mistakes or other stuff. But it's like I felt so bad that I made so many of those small mistakes, because I actually, like, with also the help of Chino's chat, because just some computer engineers in Chino's chat actually helped me out, because they actually taught me more in 15 minutes than I did in like 3 weeks of lectures. But yeah, like I actually like finally understood the material at the last stretch of the semester. Then I failed my final. Like, it's one thing to not understand content and fail or not do well on an exam. That's one thing. It's another thing when you finally, at heart, is like, okay, I finally understand. It's like, oh my god, like it all makes sense, and then you fail. Like, that is soul crushing. They're facing best gameplay. Oh yeah, I'm sorry that I've been going on this like long college rant for a while, but yeah, like I was having more fun with storytelling, but yeah, that was like the most soul crushing thing about my class that semester. Like, that moment when you understand but then fail. But then when I go back and think about my math classes for discrete math and linear algebra, I did not understand crap, or for the most part, and I passed the class with like a solid B or B plus. And at the end of the semester, I was like, what the hell did I just learn? and yet you flip it around to my class about assembly. I'm like, me and my friend are just like, what the hell's going on? Like, what is this? Like, how does memory stuff work? It's like, this is so low end. Like, how do you like work around this code? And then last stretch, I'm like, oh, I got it. And then I was like, oh, 5 out of 30. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go sell all this. Yeah, it's kind of annoying with how weighted these exams are. It's really troubling, but you just kind of take it as you go, I guess. What the? Why are all these guys bashing this?